Hello, and here today we're going to talk about photosynthesis. The actual process of photosynthesis has two parts. First, the light reactions. That's what we call the very first part of it. The light reactions take place in the thylakoid membranes. And if you'll remember, the thylakoid membranes are located within the chloroplasts of the cell. Chloroplasts are the organelles. And the thylakoid membranes are right here, part of the thylakoids. That's where the light reactions take place because that's where the plant pigments are. And light reactions convert visible light into the chemical energy that powers the Calvin cycle. So you can just think about all of those pigments working at transforming the visible light into chemical energy. And that is going to be used, that chemical energy is going to be used in the next part of photosynthesis. That next part of photosynthesis, part 2, is called the Calvin cycle. Now this might be an intimidating diagram. You certainly do not need to memorize all this, but I wanted to give you as basic of an idea as I could, and yet still put enough detail in here to help you appreciate what happens in the Calvin cycle. Overall, the Calvin cycle uses energy from those light reactions that we just talked about. And it uses that energy to produce new carbon compounds that the organism can use in the form of sugars. So we get energy coming in from the light reactions, and we also get carbon dioxide that comes into the plant. That carbon dioxide and energy enter into this Calvin cycle, and you can see just as you look at the diagram that ATP energy is being used and converted into ADP, and ADPH is just another energy molecule. It also is responsible for providing electrons to our cycle. Here we have another 3 ATP molecules turning into 3 ADP molecules, meaning we're using some energy here in order to do something. And what this Calvin cycle does, it takes these carbon dioxide molecules and it puts them together. Here we have instead of just one carbon, we have 3 carbons. Here we have 3 carbons, 3 carbons. Each of the gray spheres represents a carbon. 3 carbons, 3 carbons, and finally we end up with a 6-carbon compound in the end. So this cycle continues to cycle through over and over, producing compounds that the carbon can use, glucose, sugars, glucose is a sugar, and other compounds, and it uses the energy, once again, from the light reactions and carbon dioxide that the plant takes in order to provide the carbons for these glucose molecules and other compounds. So let's just take a very simple overview of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis takes place within the chloroplasts. Okay, if you'll remember, the cell has organelles called chloroplasts, and here one is. We have the thylakoid membranes here where light reactions take place. So light comes in from the sun, light reactions take place, converting that visible light into chemical energy. Water also comes into our system. Oxygen exits our system at this point. The energy produced by these light reactions is sent on to the Calvin cycle, which uses carbon dioxide, as well as this energy, to produce sugars. All of this takes place within the chloroplast of the cell. So here is a chemical overview of this photosynthesis. Same thing that I just described here, but we're writing it as a chemical equation. Here is our carbon dioxide molecule. And within photosynthesis, we have 6 carbon dioxide molecules plus 6 water molecules with light to produce one sugar molecule plus 6 oxygen molecules. So that is another way to look at it. You can also look at this diagram to remember that we have water, carbon dioxide, and light coming into our chloroplast, into our plant, and oxygen is a byproduct, and sugar is a product of photosynthesis. So what could I do for advanced proficiency regarding photosynthesis? You could study the light reactions and the Calvin cycle much more in depth. There's a lot of information there and a lot more detail to the process that we did not cover, and I look forward to seeing you in class and seeing what you find out.